We're going from under the sea.
Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islam. Can you hear me, Goddess and Queen?
Clear as a bell. Gratitude.
Gratitude. Islamism. Islam. Moorish America. Let us rise upon the 7 and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to His holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. But let us come forth with our ancient committee and adept Moorish American prayer. And as we come forth, we ask that you open up your hearts and minds as we open up the way. Islam, Islamism. Ya Allah abnu heru makuneteru, Ya Allah abhat heru, Ya Allah ma'at heru, Ya Allah hotep heru, Ya Allah heru, Ya Allah ma'at herakuti, Ya Allah ahwajet the duty, Ya Allah pertim to tek pertim heru, Ya Allah bamaduti, al-hajjat shepsis rab to Ali. Amen. Halias. And that is the same Moorish kin in transliteration. O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet. O Allah, Drew Ali. Amen. Holy Issa. Islam Moorish kin. And now we come forth before you with the divine constitution of Moorish America. Salvation, our God, unity. The 7 supreme constitutional acts of law. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. Bylaws. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh. And on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you're part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to the triune acts, Acts 1, 2, and 3 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. The providence of Allah is ever all his works. He ruleth and directed with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He had wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conforming to his will. Shemotepu Moorish King.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Gratitude to our National Assistant Grand Chief for opening up the way according to law. I am the National Grand Secretary of the state of Indiana, Dr. Sai Anatinu Hetaru El, and I rise giving perfect praises to our Father God Allah and the highest honors to our Holy Prophet El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Honors to our theocratic Moorish American government. Honors to all of Act 1, our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, and our Grand National Flag, the Moorish flag. Honors to our divine constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of our Moorish kin who are here in our Moorish perspective class. Islam, Islam, Islam. Chapter 52. Holy Instruction from the Prophet of Social Duties. When thou considerest thy wants, when thou beholdest thy imperfections, acknowledge his goodness, O Son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal help and mutual obligations, protection from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All these thou owest to the assistance of others, and couldst not enjoy but in the bands of society. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. As the rose breatheth sweetness from its own nature, so the heart of the benevolent man produceth good works. He enjoys the ease and tranquility of his own breast, and rejoiceth in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. He openeth not his ear unto slander. The faults and the failings of men give a pain to his heart. His desire is to do good, and he researcheth out the occasions thereof. And removing the oppression of another, he relieveth himself. From the largeness of his mind, he comprehendeth in the wishes of happiness of all men. And from the generosity of his heart, he endeavoreth to promote it. Islam, Islam, Islam. Welcome home to all of our Moorish kin, and gratitude for being here in another Moorish Perspectives class, sponsored by our Moorish American government. Our host instructor is our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Shedo Aminti Muhejit Shepsuel. Our topic is coming out of our new chapter of the week, Chapter 52, Holy Instruction from the Prophet, the Social Duties, Ayat 1. O Son of Humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive the comfort, reciprocal help, and mutual obligation. Gratitude again to our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Shedo Aminti and Muhejit Shepsuel, for opening up the way according to law. And gratitude to our National Grand Secretary of the State of Indiana, Dr. Sa Natinu Heteru El, for taking registration and also reading the chapter of the week. At this time, we will call our host instructor, our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Shedo Aminti and Muhejit Shepsuel. Islam, Grandman.
Islam, Goddess and Queen, can you hear me clearly?
Clear as a bell. Peace and love.
Gratitude, praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. That means Moorish America can hear me. Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Moorish America. Having already risen, we continue to rise in ascension, giving all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and again, honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Moorish Perspectives. As I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Al-Mohadi Shabazil, and my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedo Aminti Muhejit Shepsuel. And most definitely we have a powerful drawing on the Manifest Moorish kin, so we ask that our Moorish family have their paper and pen on handy, so that they may take notes and also be able to participate in this special drawing, and for those who are looking for the live link, I've sent it out, I sent it twice, to make sure that our Moorish kin got it, so you can tap in and participate if you so choose. Want to give honors to all of those who come through the social media, to view what it is that we have to present to our Moorish kin. You know, want to give honors to our family, you know, as just being able to show up when it comes to nation. Honors the brother Marvin. Islam, Grand. Okay.
Yes, sir. On the conference call side, you're going in and out. Dr. Shaheed, pardon yourself.
Oh, all is well. Let me adjust this apparatus because we know how they is. Okay. Okay, just give it a second here and we'll see if it catch up the pace. Islam, is that better, Grand National Secretary of the State?
Islam, a lot better. Gratitude, man.
Okay, gratitude. Thank you. Islam. So yeah, we want to give honors to all of our Moors that are checking in from through social media. Is where Brother Marvin Nathaniel was Bay, Charles Warrior, Facebook user. Honors to all of you Moorish kin that are on the manifest. You know, honors to all of our family for being here, you know, and being yourself, you know, honoring yourselves by being yourself. We give honors to everybody. We got a grand drawing to bring forth to our family. And we will be dealing with the holy instruction from the prophet, the social duties. And our drawing is from the Ayat 1, where we are focusing on, O Son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations. And this is not just to the Son of humanity per se. You know, this is to all of fallen humanity who have found themselves presently here in the Moorish American government, you know, and here to uplift our people because we have risen from amongst the fallen. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the first to be uplifted from amongst the fallen. Praise be to Allah for that. And so we have a grand drawing to bring to the Manifest family, and it's going to be a powerful demonstration as always. And we just want to point out what it is that our prophet brought to us. One thing it is to really be viewed is that when the prophet brought us our Moorish Holy Quran, he structured it in such a way to where we would be able to walk right out of the life works in the teachings of Yehoshua right into the chapters that deal with our social duties. We always tell you that the 18 missing years, you know, deal with the time where Yehoshua was actually in Kemet, and then we go into the social duties, and we show you that they too come out of Kemet, you know, via through Pharaoh Akhenaten, you know, the fourth, so to speak. This is what we have in our records. At least this is what they would tell you the source come from. And we have shown, you know, relative examples just dealing with the maximums of Tahotep, or what we call the Sabate teachings of ancient Kemet. You can find them interwoven into all of these special chapters. But before we get to this point of dealing with the social duties and going into the fullness of actually getting to where we are now with this chapter, the prophet most definitely wove a celestial cloth in the way that he put this together. Because as we step out of those 18 missing years, we come into first and foremost the holy instruction and warning for all young men. Listen to this in the way that he, you know, pretty much mapped this out. This is basically teaching young men how to be young men. This should tell us the necessary process as well on how to teach our seeds to be who they are. Not only that, how to set our house in order. These are the instructions he gave us. So he gave us holy instructions and warnings for all young men. These would be things that would be necessary in order to prepare young men to be men in this society, this Moorish society, in the world, and so forth and so on. And he instructs the young men exactly, you know, upon those things that will be relative to his success, so to speak. And then he comes behind that and follows that up with marriage instructions for the man and the wife. And then in this measure, he actually begins to instruct the woman or the women of what is to be expected out of the man. And then he goes into the aspect again and deals with the duty of a husband. And now he is instructing the husband on how to be a man to his wife, so to speak. And he also actually cement this in the stone of law in the 7 acts of our divine constitution. In fact, Act 7. So this is a seal. This is all a part of the bond of the matrimonial Hajj, so to speak. But we all know that this has to do with a Hajj that takes place within the man and the woman as well. They have to be conscious of their own divinity before they can come together in unity. And this is the way our ancestors demonstrated it, even when you go back into ancient Kemet. The woman knew that she was more of a goddess than a mere woman, a mere ball of flesh, so to speak. The man knew that he was more of a god than a mere man. Hence, we have the term more-ish, more God than a mere man. You see? And so once we understand this, we understand that these lessons and these instructions, these divine lessons or teachings were given in order to make one exactly this, preparation. You know, it taught us co-regency as opposed to the westernized way of, you know, a chauvinistic expression where man is dominating a woman. You know, one's become a slave to each other's desires. No, nothing can be further from the truth. So these social duties in preparation en route to being rulers of a nation, these are the steps we go through. So after dealing with the duty of a husband, then he lays out the holy instructions for thy children, following up with that, because now if there's a husband and wife, we can expect to be some children coming out. So now you go back again to those same instructions, dealing with that of a young man, you know, in the same process of teaching a young woman how to be a young woman, and then follow up that special instruction with what we call the obedience of children towards their father. If we are able to do this, then we can set our house in order. Obedience to their Father God, Allah, first and foremost, and by virtue of that being in obedience to their earthly father and their earthly mother. And we understand that we teach them that obedience isn't something to where you are forcing yourself upon them or you forcing your rule upon them with an iron fist, but obedience makes them comfortable in demonstrating obey. In other words, governing themselves, where they don't have to have somebody standing on them and telling them, you're going to do this because I said do it. You're going to do this because I make the rules. Do as I say, not as I do. And you know all that foolishness, right? So coming up behind that after they learn the obedience, you know, toward their parents, then they come into, as he mapped it out, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Now, this is to take them outside of their household. That's what all of the instructions following behind this do. It takes them outside of their household so that they may be able to join the bands of society, take their affairs upon humanity, take their place, you know, within the affairs of humanity, so to speak. And once they're able to do this, now we talk about covenants. Covenants from a divine aspect, or even from the aspect of dealing with law, always have to do with agreements, so to speak. Agreements that will make people conscious of the way they deal with each other, conscious of the way they communicate with each other. And so this first covenant that was given to us is a covenant for the Asiatic nations. This is not limited to Moorish Americans. This covenant takes us into the bands of society to deal with all of those who are part and parcel of what we call the Asiatic nation. And this would take us back into what we call a uniting of the Asiatic states here in the Moorish American government at this level. And when we talk about a uniting of the Asiatic states, we're really talking about a uniting of our people across the continental land masses, not just here in the Americas. You see, we go from the Asiatic states into the Asiatic nation. You see, and this is what we create, again, a capital empire and dominion, you see, in this new era and time. Hence, where we are trying to deal with the establishment of the government of the world. Not a one world government, a new world order, but a government established upon old world principles being brought forth in this new era in time. You see, revamped, so to speak, where people are brought into remembrance of a time. I remember our beloved brother Michael Jackson had that song, and people never really paid attention to the video. He was in Kemet, He said, do you remember the time, when we first met? And we can apply this measure metaphysically and metaphorically, so to speak. There was a time when we knew what Ma'atic law was. There was a time we didn't have to practice Ma'atic law and learn how to deal with it because we already was living it, like we say. So therefore, in these instructions that we have, we learn the teachings of harmony, truth, balance, right, order, and justice, which we call now love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And we can also go into the aspects of the justice, the mercy, the love, and the right. The laws that we learn, and we call this part and parcel of what we call our divine creed from Mother Ma'at, if you will. Each and every one of our mothers in their conscious state represented our Mother Ma'at, whether we know it or not. So we learn right from wrong. We learn truth and right from our mothers, even though we are first being taught while we in the sacred groves, which we call the womb, before we even come into existence. But nevertheless, we have to be reminded of our essence. We have to be reminded of the source from whence we come. And one of the main questions that we are asked is, who made you? These are questions, remember, for Moorish children. But that doesn't limit the question to what we think a child is or what children are. Because we are children of the great God Allah. So says the Asiatic covenant, right? The holy covenant of the Asiatic nations, right? So we learn again covenant so that we can move forward. And then with this in mind, having this special type of home grooming, so to speak. We ain't going to say home training, home grooming, so to speak. Then we can come into the whole instructions of unity, and really extend the behavioral benefits, so to speak, based upon what it is that we've been taught under these divine lessons to other nations. So unity, in unity there is strength. And once we begin to learn the lessons of unity and so forth and so on, now we are ready to receive the holy instructions dealing with the holy unity of the rich and the poor. Because now we got to know that when we go out there into the world, we carry these lessons out there in the world. We know how to deal with people, irregardless to where they may be in the social status quo. We see a unity between the people based upon basically something that most people won't see if they caught up into the worldly aspect of what they think wealth is and riches is. We teach the people that they are rich when they are conscious of the reality of the wealth that is within them, and they are poor when they lack the knowledge thereof. So then we go on. Look at the way the prophet mapped this out, man. This is genius. The holy instruction from the prophet, master and service. So now we come to this special level, and we learn now how to deal with the concept of being a master of the self, being a servant of humanity. And this actually becomes one. We see the unity between the rich and poor. We see the unity between the master and the servant. Then we come to the chapter that we was in previous to this one, magistrate and subject. So now we are at the level of being an executive ruler. You see, we understand how to be what we call a Muslim magistrate and a Moorish subject of one's own nation. And one don't feel any type of way. We don't feel any type of way about being those who are subject to our leadership within our nation. We're not looking at it as somebody just taking over us or trying to rule over us, and we don't want to be ruled over. We want to be heard and all types of foolery, because in most cases our people just like to rant but have no solution to the problems. They just want to be heard in the midst of time when they hear our people talking, and they want to philosophize in the moment. You see, but nobody want to follow these instructions, be it coming from the Moorish paradigm or any other paradigm our people dealing with, because they have now professed themselves to become a law unto themselves. And that's the greatest mistake that we can make as a people, having no discipline to honor and respect the law that has been given to us to govern us as a nation of people, right? So we find ourselves here dealing with the holy instruction from the prophet concerning social duties. And all of those previous chapters and those previous degrees of unfoldment, boy, did he bring them forth in a masterful way, because they prepared us for different measures and expression dealing with social duties. And pretty much every chapter that follows behind this one is just another branch upon the tree of social duties. So we want to keep that in mind and look at how, these lessons were put together perfectly to set our house in order, to set our nation in order, to make us a master nation of people, if we would but take heed and make these things applicable to ourselves. Anybody in opposition that, you tell me, what's wrong with instructing our young men? What's wrong with having our own marriage instructions? What's wrong, with a husband learning his duties to his wife? What's wrong with instructions to your children? Tell me what is wrong with that when it comes to nation building is what I want to know. And in fact, in most cases, the religious aspect ain't really even mentioned in dealing with the social duties, so much so, even though we understand that the law governs all events and that the great God Allah is the one that makes this possible, we're literally talking about the way we deal with people. Well, so what's wrong with children learning how to obey, their parents, their father and mother? What's wrong with having a holy covenant by which we're able to become united? What about that you don't want to hear? What about that is so unbearable to you? You see, let's put the titleism to the side. Let's put the thought that you don't like hearing somebody say they're more, or hearing somebody talk about Prophet Noble Drew Ali, or hear somebody talking about the circle. Let's put that to the side and ask yourself the question, what is wrong with holy instruction that deal with unity? Regardless of where they come from, what's wrong with the holy unity, learning the holy unity of the rich and the poor? What's wrong with holy instruction from a prophet, master and servant that come from you, from your people? I ain't talking about no Arabs. I ain't talking about nobody else. What's wrong with learning the proper instruction of magistrate and subject? What's the problem with that? Is it because we are teaching it? Because right now, if a European came forth with these same instructions and they begin to teach on these same levels, our people be gloating over, oh my goodness, did you hear what was said by this special European? Oh, they spoke on it so masterful. Don't let them write no books about it. And last but not least, again, what's wrong with dealing with holy instructions, from your particular divine leader, your particular divine guide, the one that was raised up for you over here in the West? What's wrong with listening to him? He literally gave his life blood for his people. Like we always say, we always hear him talking about Jesus in the Bible. We hear him talking about all these prophets in the books that were supposedly tormented for teaching their people. But we know for a fact that Prophet Noble Drew Ali went through this. You can't say he's a myth. You can't say he was somebody that just was a character that they made up. We know Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a real person. And he went through those things that most people honor about the prophets that they never seen or have proof of being able to say. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, we got his record, his track record, all the way from the Library of Congress, you know, into newspaper clippings and the old history that we have ourselves. We know he was here. We know that, you know, he basically laid his life down for his people, his physical body, so to speak. You see, we're not trying to tell you to worship him. We're telling you to honor your ancestors. And if you are a Ma'atic, as you say you are, then you honor all of your ancestors that came before you. You don't plunder the work of your ancestors and try to remove their landmarks, you know, in the works that they done, even if you don't understand it. That's dishonorable. You can't say you deal with Kemet or Ma'at or African spirituality and you don't want to honor the ancestors that came before you and laid their life down for you. You sound crazy. You have no respect if you demonstrate like that. And this is why we have been so far behind as a people. So we want to talk about this as special measure dealing with social duties. You know, when we go into this special drawing, you see? And so most of our people, again, you know, they are looking more for a gotcha moment. They're looking more for a measure as to where they can be contentious as opposed to listening to what it is you're saying to them. And half of the ones that are being contentious have no desire to get on the front line. They have no desire to get out there and teach our people anything. Have no desire to do the work of uplifting our people, but yet they will critique our people, you know, anytime they hear it out here in social media, just because they got a computer and they can type something for the sake of typing it. So we got to grow up and get out of that special mindset of picking cotton, because that's basically what you're doing. You're a cotton picker, you know, and we ain't doing that in 2023. So let me come forth with this special measure here. And this is a powerful draw. And I want to pull up a particular article that I have here. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. So we're dealing with the holy instruction from the prophet, social duties. But I want to touch on this because y'all know we deal with all books of truth. We don't discriminate, you know. And I want you to see this right here. And this is actually coming from a website called alislam.org. And this is just dealing with, you know, the question on, is man social by nature? Since we talking about social duties. And I want you to hear some of this before we go further into our measure. And listen to what it states. It says, is man social by nature? It says the problem regarding the factors responsible for the emergence of social life in human beings has been raised from the ancient times. Is man born with the instinct of what they call gregariousness, i.e. when he was naturally created as a part of the whole, or a whole, with an urge in his nature to be united with the whole? Or if he was not created as a gregarious being, but external compulsions and determinism imposed upon him in collective life? So these are the questions that's put out there, you know, if, you know, humanity, man, so to speak, was created, you know, being a part and parcel of the whole, or if, you know, external compulsions and determinism is what imposed upon him the thought or the want to be collective in his life when it comes to living. We teach that man tore himself away from the great God, his deific will, so to speak. And this is what we are here to do. We are here to become one with consciousness, and in consciousness, also one with each other. This is why our beloved brother Marcus Mosai Garvey L stated, one God, one people, one nation. And this is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali again came behind that saying, salvation, our God, unity. You see, one God, one people, one nation, salvation, our God in unity. And there are a plethora of leaders and teachers who came teaching the same unity in our community, so to speak. So we didn't look at it as just something that imposed a need upon us to be free. Nobody forced us into this special collective in our original state. Among the teachings of our ancient, and nobody had to force them to be one. Nobody forced the people of ancient Kemet to be one nation and build what they have built and have a civilization that actually comes on the manifest and is unrivaled, because you have seen no nation since that has ruled 3,000 years. And even prior to them, you didn't see that really being recorded in the history, so to speak. 3,000 years. Everybody else rose and fall within 100, 200, and so forth and so on. We ain't even seen a nation recently live, up to the 700 years that the Moors did. The Europeans close to it, because we got close, the 500 some years after odd slavery that we come under in here in the West. You see? But nevertheless, our people have been the grandest expression of what we call executive rulers to ever live. So it is good, it would be good to look at their example and what it is that caused them to fall. And it had a lot to do with their social communication, so to speak, among each other. That made them great, and also the lack thereof, the diminishing of that, which caused the fall in every aspect. So anyway, it goes on, it says, in other words, is he by nature inclined to live freely and is disposed not to accept any kind of obligations and restrictions which have been imposed upon him, although they may be essential for social life? Has he in fact learnt from experience that no one is able to continue one's life in isolation? And so he has been forced to surrender to limitations imposed by social life? Or, although he is not gregarious by nature, the factor that persuaded him to accept social existence was not compulsion, or at least compulsion had not been the sole factor? Or was it by the ruling of his reason through his faculty of calculation that he arrived at the conclusion that only through cooperation in social life could he better enjoy the gifts of nature, and therefore he chose to live in company with other human beings? Accordingly, the problem can be posed in three ways. 1, man is social by nature. 2, he is social by compulsion. And 3, he is social by his own choice. So it says, according to the first theory, man's social life is similar to the partnership of a man and a woman in a married life. Each of the partners was created as a part of a whole, and by nature yearns to be united with the whole. So we naturally have an inclination to seek our twin flame. That's when we're dealing with the aspects of our domestic life and building a family. We just showed you Prophet Noble Drew Ali laid the foundation out in the way that he gave us, that is special map that would lead us up into being able to deal with these social duties. We just showed that to you earlier as we open up. So we can see how these lessons are tying in already. But it says, according to the second theory, social life is like cooperation, such as a pact between two countries, which are singly able to defend themselves against a common enemy and are forced to work out an agreement of cooperation and collaboration. And this deals with man being social by compulsion here. You see, certain situations, political situations that compulses, one moves one by compulsion, so to speak, toward a social agreement or social relationship, social construct, so to speak. So anyway, it says, according to the third theory, social life is similar to the partnership of two capitalists, which gives rise to a commercial, agricultural, or industrial company aiming at attainment of greater profits. So this is where one is dealing with being social as a result of their own choice and of their own volition, under their own ideology. The other two had to do with being social by compulsion, being made to do so, and then the other had to be by nature. You have to be social. For example, when we deal with the bands of society, out of everything you have in opposition and dealing with people, you have to communicate with other people in order to function in life. You got to go to other people to purchase the things you need to survive. You got to go to other people to purchase the things that you need when it comes to clothing yourself, and all that, food, clothing, and shelter, right? You got to deal with other people when it comes to coming into understanding. Most of our people that receive certain degrees, they go amongst the people that know more than them in a particular subject matter, and then they receive degrees from them in any walk of life. I don't care if it's dealing with academics, I don't care if it's dealing with on a higher level of academics where you go into trying to be, where it's legal, or even if you're dealing with self-defense and martial arts. Even if you go into the aspects of, we can think about every aspect where you got to learn from somebody else. You got to learn from somebody. So by nature, you social. This first starts within the household. You learn social skills, by communicating with your siblings. This is where it started. And then you're able to take that from home abroad. You see? So anyway, it says, on the basis of the first theory, the main factor is inherent in man's own nature itself, right? On the basis of the second theory, is something external to man's essence and independent of it. And then according to the third theory, the main factor responsible for social life is man's intellectual and calculating faculty. You see? So that is by which you are able to become one who is exercising your reasoning according to the social construct that you willingly accept, so to speak. So this is what life is basically based upon, these particular levels: social by nature, social by compulsion, or social by choice. And in most cases, what have we been doing with our choices? Have we misused and abused our choice to be able to freely dictate the way we live our lives? Or have we been demonstrating harmony in our thoughts when it comes to dealing with being social or demonstrating social duties? So it goes on here. It says, according to the first view, sociability is a general and universal goal which man naturally aspires to attain. According to the second theory, sociability is a casual, a causal, so to speak, an accidental phenomenon. And it says a secondary and not primary objective. According to the third theory, sociability is the result of man's faculty of reasoning and calculations. This is where your soul actions come in again at thinking, willing, reason, understanding, and remembrance. It may be said on the basis of the study of the Quranic verses that sociability is inherent in the very nature and creation of man. In Surah Al-Hujurat, and this is very important because we're going to go into some of Al-Hujurat, and Al-Hujurat actually means the chamber. You hear us always talking about, third heaven, adept chamber. Well, this surah is dedicated to really what make you adept in being able to deal with other people, to communicate with other people, And this is dealing with Surah 49 in the Grand Quran. We're going to go there in a few minutes. This is one of the ayahs that has been extracted from that surah. And listen to what it says. It says, in the name of Allah the Beneficent, the Merciful, O mankind, we have created you, male and female, and have made you nations and tribes that you may know one another. Not that on account of this you may boast of being superior to others. You know, in certain translations, they say not that you may hate one another. And it says, certainly the noblest of you in the sight of Allah is the most God-fearing among you. And the reason why it states that, because if we have principles and morals that we live by a greater good, then we are more than likely to deal with people upon that basis. But if we have no social construct that is based upon morality, then in most cases, you will see people act as if they want to act, or treat you as if they want to treat you, because they feel they have no accountability. Even an abundance in wealth can cause people to act this way. Even an abundance in good talents that have allowed people to go so far that will cause them to become conceited and arrogant can cause them to act that way. You know, so notice it said we were created that we may know one another. But anyway, it says in this verse, besides an ethical precept, there's an implication which indicates the philosophy of social existence of man, according to which mankind is so created that it always lives in the form of groups, nations, and tribes. And an individual is known through his relation to his respective nation and tribe, an identity, which is an integral part of social existence. In other words, there was a time that your reputation really preceded you. You know, based upon if somebody went and asked you about your people, or somebody asks your people about you, then they can get a rundown on who you are. But we are so disconnected now to where we don't know who people are. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know what their objective is. That's one of the problems that we have. And so then you have these ones that come out before the world representing us, loosely representing us, and sometimes they misrepresent us. And then we all take the rap when somebody demonstrates something that is contrary to what it is that we truly represent. Because everybody doing their thing. Like the Grand Quran say, each party rejoicing in that which is of themselves, because they believe that they are an island unto themselves. They believe that they have no obligation to their people. They have no obligation to their community. They have no obligation to their nation as a whole. You see? So it says, if these relations, which in one way are the cause of commonness and association between individual men, and in the other way are the cause of their separation and disassociation, it says, did not exist, it would have been impossible to distinguish one man from another. You see? So this is showing you that when one has been laid bare as far as dealing with what caused certain issues, you actually know what you're dealing with. But when you got a situation ones can slither and slide and, you know, camouflage themselves and be chameleons, so to speak, you really have no means of being able to know what we're dealing with. Because honesty is not a part and parcel of the policy when you don't have to be, At least some people believe that. Integrity is not a part of the conversation, at least when ain't nobody composing or pushing you to be, right? So it says, as a consequence, social life, which is the basis of relationships of human beings with one another, it says, will not have come into existence. That's powerful. The very reason that a social construct exists when we deal with sociality, or what we call sociology even, you know, it don't exist unless you have some communication between people. If people didn't communicate with people, then there would be no need for social duties. And they trying to push the people back into that special realm with all this technology. We see it all the time where you see, husband and wife or a couple, people that go out to a particular place to enjoy themselves. And this is supposed to be their time alone. And next thing you know, they're in their telephone the whole time. So there's a disconnect that takes place at that special level. You can see it where even in the conversation, a casual conversation between friends, they may be talking to the friend and the friend, is detached, so to speak. Now I can understand if you got a family member that's reaching out to you because maybe they might be reaching out to you because they in dire need or something. But I'm talking about when you get into the aspect of holding a whole different conversation, back and forth, and you got somebody standing here in your presence. So all of these things have to do with detaching the people when it comes to dealing with them feeling to have a need to communicate with each other and socialize with each other, even though they have what they call social media out here. This is where all the social activity is now taking place, in social media. But social media, has nothing to do with your social duties as far as when you're dealing with somebody one-on-one. And most of the people learn actually bad habits and how to troll and how to be disrespectful when it comes to demonstrating social media. So if you try to govern your life by the way that you see social media demonstrating it, then you're going to be burnt up from the start. In fact, social media is what we got to compete with when it comes to teaching our young ones something. The same phone that you give to them because you want them to be safe, you want to be able to talk, they can go into that same phone and get involved, get caught up into something that influences them and cause them to become deviators from what it is that you instilled in them. That's something that we didn't have to worry about, years ago, unfortunately. So there's a two-edged sword when we come to dealing with this aspect of social media. Don't get me started. So anyway, it says a consequence of social life, which is the basis of relationships of human beings with one another, would not have come into existence. These and similar other factors in social life, such as differences in features, color, and physique, provide the ground for specific marks of distinction of an individual and impart individuality to persons. Now, I find this funny, but maybe this is just somebody that's coming from an honest place, but I find it funny to hear somebody coming from an Orthodox Islamic perspective saying this when we know that they would teach quickly that you are not to be focused or worried about nationality, but yet they are describing things dealing with the feature and the culture and the physique and the color, so to speak, right here. But that's a whole nother mess. It said, had all these individuals been of the same color, the features and physique, had they not been governed by different types of relationships and associations, they would have been like the standardized products of a factory, identical to one another, and consequently could not be distinguished from one another. Okay, we understand. It says it would have ultimately resulted in the negation of social life, which is based upon relations and exchange of ideas, labor, and commodities. Yes, it's all right to deal with them distinctions when it comes to labor and commodities, huh? Don't get me started. But again, hence association, it says, of individuals with tribes and groups, and as a natural purpose, the individual differences among human beings serve as an essential condition of social life. It must not, however, be used as a pretext for prejudice and pride and for superiority. It says it's supposed to lie in the human nobility and in individuals' piety. Okay, we get it. In other words, if you're conscious of your divinity and you're conscious of being, the truth being love and all that right there, then that's where your superiority come into play at. You see, if you're willing to live it. You don't have to say it. It just exudes from your character and your actions. This is what will make certain people that are not in that special state say, you ain't said nothing. Yeah, he think he better than me. No, it ain't my fault that you looking at his special characteristics that deal with greatness, and you take it upon yourself to feel belittled by that. You see, and this is the type of way that we have been manipulating, the social construct of communicating with each other. The pity party, right? But anyway, here's another drawing. And it is who had created man from water and hath appointed for him kindred by blood relationships, by birth, and kindred by marriage acquired relationships, right? Surah 25, ayat 54. It says, this verse reveals the purpose of birth relationship and marriage relationship, which together bind individuals with each other as underlying the design of creation. It is through these relationships that individuals are distinguished from one another. In fact, it is through this relation again that we are able to build nations and families, siblings, and so forth and so on. That's all a part of the social duty. In the Piscean records, they said it like this: be fruitful and multiply. What is the purpose of the multiplicity if it's not to build a nation, if it's not to advance society? So you would have to teach the lessons that are necessary in order to make sure that those who come from your lineage, that they be productive members of society. And it also has to do with the way you act as opposed to just what you are speaking or what you are saying. You have to be the message that you bring. You have to be a living manifestation of what it is that you are expressing or what it is that you are bringing according to these instructions, right? So, as we go on, it says, is it they who apportion their Lord's mercy? We have appointed among them in their livelihood in the life of the world and raised some of them above others in ranks, that some of them may take labor from others, and the mercy of thy Lord is better part itself than the wealth they amass. You see? So this is a powerful draw. This is showing you how we have to communicate with each other. In order for somebody to be successful in having a business, they got to have people that work for them. You see? In order for the people that work for them to receive a particular measure, then they got to work for what it is that they earn. This is what we call reciprocal help and mutual obligations. You see? And this brings us right back to our subject matter. So it says, while discussing the conception of Tawheed, or what we call divine unity. I had a conversation with some brothers in social media not long ago about this same expression, telling them that Tawheed means oneness. They say, no, it just means unity. No, unity is just one expression of it. Oneness and unity is the same thing, family. Let's not play semantics. So anyway, while discussing the conception of Tawheed and divine unity, in the part dealing with the world outlook of Tawheed, I've dealt with the meaning of this verse. Here I will give just the substance of the verse. Human beings have not been created alike in respect of their talents and dispositions. Had they been created so, everyone would have possessed the same qualities, right? And all would have lacked diversity of talents. Naturally, as a consequence, none would have required the services of others, thus making mutual cooperation and mutual obligations meaningless. Right? It says God has created man in diversity with different spiritual, physical, and intellectual aptitudes, dispositions, and inclinations. He is therefore, right, he has given some people special abilities and has imparted superiority to some over others in certain talents. By means of this, he has made all human beings intrinsically needful of others and inclined to associate with others. Because you can learn from those who know more than you. You can learn from those who are more superior in intelligence in certain areas that you're not in. This is what causes us to continue to advance. as there would be those who come along that would be more advanced than those who may be more advanced than you. This is the proper understanding when we look into the concept of, the evolution outside of evolving as an ape, apism, apomorphism, and all of that. No, we're talking about evolving mentally and consciously into being the gods that you are, being one with the supreme reality. That's why the name Arub is used, because he fosters you from the most rudimentary state and then brings you into your state of perfection or completion, the epitome of your purpose. This is what you naturally unfold into. And it is by means of social activity and social communication, so to speak, sociability, that we are able to tap into, that is special talent, and unlock the gifts of our understanding so that we may make our contribution to the world. Each and every one of us have a particular talent. We have a particular gift that was given to us. And that is our purpose of being here, to let that light shine, to bring that forth. But we have to dig beneath the rocky soil, of everything it is that is messy, that the West is made of us, in order to bring that out of us, in order to extract that out of us. It's in there. So, by means of this, he has made all human beings intrinsically needful of others and inclined to associate with others. Thus, he has laid down the foundation of collective and social life. The above mentioned verse also asserts that social existence is not merely a conventional or selective or a compulsive affair, but a natural one. You see? So this is powerful. This is powerful. So now what I would do, I can go over here and get into the chamber, so to speak, Al-Hujurat. That's the name of this special chapter. And it has a few ayats in here. And I'm going to read these ayats, and go forth. Then we'll get ready to open up the floor to our family and dealing with the importance of knowing what social duties are. Listen to what it says here. We know that we are here dealing with the uniting of the Grand Quran. Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us, he came to demonstrate the unity of the nation, uniting of the nations. But he also dealt with a uniting of the literature. This is why we have our symbol that deals with Islamism, and it represents the teachings as they have been spread out, coming from ancient Kemet, coming from our ancestors. And that uniting of the Holy Quran actually really has to do more with you uniting with the book and becoming the message than you just reading about it and looking at it as some history. No, this is so that you may be able to make the lessons applicable to yourself, so that you may become again adept in the way you deal with other people, the way you communicate with other people. You know how to deal with people, as opposed to that up the street and around the corner NBC D and E. And we ain't gonna tell you what the D is. Let's just say they had one demonstrated that what they call not so intellectual and not so intellectual. But really NBC and E without the D is definitely leading into dealing with what we call the demarcated thought pattern. But I want to touch on some of these. Listen to this right here, right? It says right here in the Grand Quran. Now, we know Prophet Muhammad, is mentioned, by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but we know Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it like this. He spoke of the time, he said, when I was Muhammad. Every time we go into these particular texts and we dealing with our chart in Islamism, we have to be able to perceive that the same spirit, of this special measure extends up into this era in time, because, just as Prophet Noble Drew Ali demonstrated being Yahushua will come again of this new era in time, you see, he also demonstrated the Muhammad come again, the Buddha come again, the Krishna come again, the Greek. So when you look into these special works, you should look at how they are able to be made applicable to the way that our prophet bring these things to us. So let us come forth. And so we see Prophet Noble Drew Ali in what's being discussed here. That's just to set the mindset. O believers, do not proceed in any matter before a decree from Allah and his messenger, and fear Allah. Surely Allah is all hearing and all knowing. So he has given to us an open way, and our open way come through Prophet Noble Drew Ali. It ain't got nothing to do with us trying to beef with nobody else for us what they believe. But he's saying when you come forth, don't proceed in a matter before the decree. You know, in other words, don't try to put yourself before Allah and his messenger. Always use, whether it is dealing with our brother Muhammad ibn Abdullah to the Arabs, or Prophet Noble Drew Ali al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali to us. You know, to those who think that they're Israelites or say they're Israelites dealing with our brother Yehoshua, some of them don't deal with Yehoshua, but those who do, whatever messenger, if they accept the brother Musa, alayhi salam, if they expect to respect all of these special ones, no matter where you come from, and you have to be willing to adhere to the laws that govern the people according to what they brought. Because if you are not willing to honor that and you say you honor them, then you lie. You see, so do not proceed in any manner before a decree from Allah's message. In other words, don't supersede that. Don't try to overrule that. Don't do that. And fear Allah, surely he is all hearing and all knowing. You see? Also it says, O believers, do not raise your voices above the voice of the prophet. Don't do that. That's the same way. Don't try to exalt yourself beyond your ancestors. That's what the Mahadik law teach. It says, nor speak loudly to him as you do to one another. And even though Prophet Noble Drew Ali ain't physically here right now, anytime you try to, you know, basically superimpose your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding over his to make it superior to his knowledge, where you are not giving honor to him or paying homage to him in the wisdom that you receive as a result of studying under him, anytime you do that, you're trying to raise your voice above the voice of the prophet. No, what you should do should magnify. It should exemplify what it is you learned from the prophet. You see? Yeah, say don't do that. Don't speak loudly to him as you do one another, or your deeds will become void while you are unaware. So it says, indeed, those who lower their voices in the presence of Allah's messenger are the ones whose hearts Allah is refined for righteousness. They will have forgiveness and a great reward. In other words, humility. How humble should man be? As weak as he art ignorant? Even if you think you know something, you should act as weak as you are ignorant in the presence of a divine teacher. And this extends to those who are speaking on the behalf of a divine prophet, a holy prophet. You have to honor them the same way. If you truly love what you say you love now. But many people get up, I love my leadership. I love Prophet Noble Drew. As soon as it come down to following something he said, if somebody tell you the prophet said it, I don't care nothing about what he said later. For that, I'm going to do what I want to do. That don't make no sense. Another measure here says, indeed, most of those who call out to you, O prophet, from the outside of your private quarters, outside the chambers, have no understanding of manners. And you ain't going to stand outside the door, you know, of your leadership. Hey, hey, come out here. I need to talk. You know, no. In other words, you don't be rambunctious in the presence of your leadership or your master teachers. But a new generation, they don't care nothing about it. They cuss their elders out. And we got grown men and women doing the same thing. Slandering divine leaders, teachers, and guides. All out in the public. Being messy. Ain't got no type of discipline, right? That Negro, and they don't even say that. They say the Nigger. Wasn't about nothing. And this is how they talk about the leadership anytime you can hear somebody talk like that about leadership, man, you should immediately get away from somebody with that mindset, because they ain't got this respect for the ancestors. What make you think they're going to respect you? People that literally died, people that literally showed you their works by what they was able to build, and they ain't built nothing, but they want to talk and run their mouth or their beak, as our chairman would say, about what it is they gonna do, and you ain't did nothing yet. So anyway, it goes on and says, had they been patient until you could come out to them, it said it would have certainly been better for them, and Allah is forgiving and most merciful. So even during the time of Muhammad ibn Abdullah, it was some Arabs back there, desert Arabs, that was basically unruly when it came to Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah. So it's the same thing. All of them done went through this at some particular point of time. I mean, and most of the time it was their own relatives are the most ones that they consider faithful that was betraying them, right? So it says here, it says, "O believers, if an evildoer brings you any news, verify it, so you do not harm people unknowingly, becoming regretful for what you have done." See, this is telling you how to deal with people. All this is talking about social duties now, but you can only learn this in a chapter that's referred to as the chamber. I wonder why. You see? So in other words, you don't just take what somebody said and you run with it, and then you go to hurting people up, and then you say, "Oh man, I apologize. I move, swiftly without a cause." You ain't got to worry about that when you take into account of thinking 5 times before you come forth with any course of action. It says also here in 49:7, "And keep in mind that Allah's messenger is still in your midst, even if you feel like he gone." Now let's look at this here. Even in the Grand Quran, we know Muhammad ain't physically here, but it's still revealed in the Quran. Keep in mind that Allah's messenger is still in your midst. So if we look at Muhammad, being the first person into Yehoshua was reincarnated, we look at how our prophet Noble Drew Ali came in that special line. We call it the saving power that come from one God man to the next, so to speak. Keep in mind that he's still in the midst. And if he were to yield to you in many matters, you would surely suffer the consequences. It says, "But Allah has endeared faith to you, making it appealing in your hearts, and he has made disbelief, rebelliousness, and disobedience detestable to you. Those are the ones rightly guided." You see? Those are the ones rightly guided. See? Then it says, "This is a bounty and blessing from Allah, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise." It says in the Arabic, "Wa Allahu alayhim," and I want to say that is Hakimu. That's dealing with wisdom. Hakim, wisdom. Right here, let's see. Okay, Wallahu alimun hakim. Yes, sir, just like I said. So when we go into that special measure, that's another drawing. But it says, "And if 2 groups of believers fight each other, then make peace between them. But if one of them transgresses against the other, then fight against the transgressing group until they are willing to submit to the rule of Allah." Now, some people think that this means, going out and just physically aggressing somebody. In some cases, you might have to physically restrain somebody. But, on a high state of elevation, let's look at this in the light of our people when they go at each other, dealing with the battle of the wits. When you see that somebody is not right in what it is they demonstrate, and you sit there and you don't say nothing about it for friend's sake, then you are somebody that's disingenuous, and you definitely ain't got no business being at the head of nothing when it comes to talking about leading our people nowhere. Because, you will allow a whole society to become corrupt, and basically cave in on itself due to your negligence of duty, so to speak. So you got to be able to be honest. Anytime you see somebody in opposition and they ain't right, everybody got to go toward that one to let them know that they ain't right. But if you got them torn in between each other, one group over here, one group over there again, then somebody ain't being honest. But it says the believers are but one brotherhood. So make peace between your brothers and be mindful of Allah, so you may be shown mercy. So if you don't want to demonstrate getting involved when you see something being demonstrated and somebody wrong, and you don't want to tell them that they're wrong, you remember that when karma come back around, that wheel of karma or wheel of dharma, when it come back around and you in a situation and you need somebody to stand with you in the truth, and then they don't stand with you in the truth, and you in a dire need of being helped. You see, because you never know when you will be put in the same position that somebody else is put in. But this is all a part of social duties too. The chambers. So, believers, don't let some men ridicule others. They may be better than them. Don't sit around and let somebody pick at somebody and poke at somebody. We see this all the time in the conscious community based on what people believe. I don't like him anyway, so I'm going to ride with him or let him. He ain't got the fortitude to say, hey, man, don't do that right there to the brother. Don't do that to the sister, man. Come on, brother. Y'all, let that, when you ain't got it in you to do that right there, you ain't a real man or a real woman, especially when you go to taking sides. When you see somebody being wrong, who think it's something wrong with stuff like this being revealed to us and us having precepts to live your life by that deal with stuff like this? Do you see anything wrong with this instruction right here? Anything that I just said thus far? For those who don't like to abide by moral code and conduct and rules of engagement, so to speak. It also says, nor let some women ridicule other women. They may be better than them. So the people you picking at or ridiculing may be more superior than yourself while you're running your beat. Do not defame one another, nor call each other by offensive nicknames. How evil is it to act rebelliously after having faith. And whoever does not repent, it is they who are the true wrongdoers. In other words, the one that don't have it in them to turn away from, that type of behavior. Their ego is too high, and inflated for them to apologize for their wrongdoing. So it says, believers, avoid many suspicions, for indeed some suspicions are sinful. And do not spy, nor backbite one another. Would any of you like to eat the flesh of their dead brother? You would despise that. And fear Allah, surely Allah is the acceptor of repentance, most merciful. I know I ain't finna eat the flesh. I don't eat the flesh anyway. So definitely ain't finna deal with no cannibalism. You see, that's a whole nother measure. But these are social duties. Oh, humanity, indeed, we have created you from a male and female and made you into peoples and tribes so that you may get to know one another. Surely the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous among you. Allah is true and all-knowing and aware. That's the same ayat being quoted, but from another level that we read earlier in our previous article. It says, some of the nomadic Arabs say, we believe. Look at what Allah said to Prophet Muhammad. He says, say, O Prophet, you have not believed, but say we have submitted. It says, for faith has not entered your hearts. Meaning they saying it with their mouth, but it really ain't in them. You see, that's the mark of a munafiq, or the munafiqun as they call them, or the kafirun, so to speak, right? It says, but it says, if you obey Allah and his messenger wholeheartedly, he will not discount anything from the reward of your deeds. Allah is truly all forgiving and most merciful. You see? So when you look at this special aspect, you can also see right here, there are many of those who profess, that they are with Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but they really say these things speaking with their mouth. All it takes is a slight wind to come and blow them right up off of their little foundation that they claim they got. You see? Another one, the true believers are only those who believe in Allah and his messenger, never doubting and striving with their wealth and their lives in the cause of Allah. They are the ones true in faith. You see? That's powerful. Also, and this is the last few ayahs, do you inform Allah of your faith when Allah already knows whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth? In other words, you can't hide it from the supreme reality. We know Allah is in man. Allah is the higher self. Allah is consciousness. So you can't hide nothing from yourself. You can't even hide from yourself. You can make hijrah. You can go anywhere you want to in the world, but you still take yourself with you. It says, and Allah is perfect knowledge of all things. You see? That's Bikuli Shayeen Alim. That's the Arabic word that they use right there. Bikuli Shayeen Alim. You see? So, it goes into another measure here. Here it is right here. It says, and they regard the acceptance of Islam as a favor to you. This is very important. Tell them, O Prophet, do not regard your Islam as a favor to me. Rather, it is Allah who has done you a favor by guiding you to the faith if you indeed are faithful. So for those who think that you should live like them, the Prophet tell the more to think not with Arabia. But yet you will have some in Arabia who think that we supposed to be Arabized. You got some NBCs, so-called Negro, black, and colored, so-called Muslims, who think that we supposed to be Arabized. But count not your favor, upon me. You see? Just regard it as a favor that you was able to unfold into what you was able to unfold into. Ain't no compulsion in this way of life. And the Grand Quran even say that. But this is all dealing with social duties and how we deal with each other. A lot of people ain't been listening to this stuff, man. They ain't been making these things applicable to their lives. And this is why you see people claiming to be certain things and making the whole look bad. Anyway, last but not least, it says, surely Allah knows the unseen of the heavens, you see, and the earth. And Allah is all seeing of what you do. So regardless of what it is, family, that you do, that supreme reality above your neck, within your God head, you know right from wrong. You know whether or not you demonstrating like you should be demonstrating within the realms of integrity. In other words, when nobody else ain't looking. You see, when we understand what it means to truly be who we are and demonstrate social duties, family, you can't get around it. And so once you understand that, you can come into a clear conception, of these special measures. So when we get into a clear conception of the work that we call to do, there is no greater expression in being able to serve humanity. This is the greatest social duty that ones can demonstrate. Once we learn how to become servants of each other, once we learn how to demonstrate what we call seeing the God within each other, you see, once we able to demonstrate like that, man, it ain't nothing that we won't be able to do. You see? So we got to get out of the spookism. We got to get into the real Islamism. And once we get into that aspect right there, we can see how we would change not only our domestic life, but also we will be able to influence those who are abroad. Because right now they waking up, Morris Ken, and they waking up as a result of, ones being staunch or being stern or even firm in the truth that we represent, irregardless of who rejects it, irregardless of who don't believe. One thing they know, they can't shake this foundation, when it comes to dealing with being a real Moorish American Muslim. You see, you can't get strength from weak sources. And in order to become strong, you have to demonstrate sociability. You have to demonstrate social duties, whether it comes from the aspect, again, of being social by nature, being social by compulsion, or being social by choice. You see, Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us, to get ready before you're made to do so. Some of us ain't gonna do something except that it's at the point of a scimitar. But it don't have to be that way, But some of our people would like to have it their way. And in their way, they will have. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that before Burger King became a franchise. Yeah, you can have it how you want it, but you sure you want it that way? So Islamism without the schism, Moorish Ken. At this time, what we're going to do, we're going to open up the floor. I'm going to put this link in the chat for our family if they would like to come forth and click on and come in. You welcome here. My casa, su casa. Just long as our family is respectable, you come up here, all is well. So we're going to drop that link in there, and we're going to open up the line now so that we can hear from our Moorish kin. So *6 your phone, Moors, and bring forth your measure. Exercise your 5 and let the world know you're alive. Islam. Islam, grand man, what have you to say?
Islam, this is Dr. Mati Bey with the Iowa Territory. First, I'd like to rise and give on man of praise to Allah. Understood prophet, understand the credit government and will council of flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, of swift angels, and multi citizens alike. I understand all the Moors that spoke before me, all the ones that will speak after. I see for this class. And this is one of the ones where I'm going to say I struggle. And that's really, almost reminds it as like you're going out in a sense. And I'm not saying I'm a hero, but out of the, out of more so the Quran, it says, it speaks about a hero that when the public is ungrateful and, and you say that you do have something to give to the public, but you know what you're getting yourself into, and then it's like, that's your duty. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to educate. So, am I to educate where the people are, the people are willing, and that's few and far between, or do I go out there and, put the message out, because I got a YouTube page. I got, I got it to where I can put the message out there, but to me, it's almost, I'm more so like a one-on-one type person, and seeing the social duty is to educate those, and most of the time when I do bring the education to, they're receptive. But in the broader sense, a lot of people when they hear it's something about when they hear the Moorish. Even when I got on that I forgot the name of that platform. And as soon as they heard more, they just went on attack. Not even willing to hear the reasoning, not even willing to hear the lawful, saying the prophet had brought something that wasn't just from the divine aspect, but it was from a lawful. It's not just a divine movement, it's a national movement. National has to deal with a lawful state. You being it has to do with your status. It has to do with your jurisdiction. So even then, when you present, they won't even allow you to get to the jurisdiction part because of what they think they know, and that goes back to the public being ungrateful. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that I struggle with on a daily. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like when I first brought it to ones that I rotate with every day. The staunch opposition that I was getting, I gauged that. I used them to gauge everything else. You know what I'm saying? And so then that don't stop me from giving in the moments of giving the message, but it did. You know what I'm saying? It makes me be more discerning. And it's like you're not gonna stand before everybody and try to explain how to build this car or what's going on with this car if something's wrong with it, because most of the people are just not gonna pay attention. You know what I'm saying? So I do it for the ones that are willing, the ones that are receptive, the ones that are, you know what I'm saying? And most of the time it's just real brief social interactions. When I may be walking down and I see some people about to get into it, I'm like, look, that's not what we do. You know what I'm saying? I'll say something like that. I'll say, are you doing something? It's more so those interactions when you're in the midst that the teachers, they can't be applied and it can be right there, you know what I'm saying, applicated to that person in that moment. But over, you know what I'm saying, that's why I got to give you honest, you know what I'm saying, and even watching some of the videos and YouTubes of the chairman, you know what I'm saying, getting out there and doing that is one, they say that's the most feared thing by the public, is to be a public speaker and to put yourself out there, you know what I'm saying, knowing that you see the opposition, but again, you said as long as you are correct and the information is correct, you're not worried about it. You see what I'm saying? And even then, I'm saying I'm not worried about it, but it's almost to the degree that, and maybe that's just I'm just putting up walls in my head. That could be another aspect of it too. But I do appreciate the level of instruction that you gave in this from our social duties, because it's you can't think of it as a surface issue. It's also, you know what I'm saying, it's also a personal and is the reason why we haven't really holistically really don't have nothing like our banking. We're thinking about nation building. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking at what everybody else is doing and how everybody else did it, we almost have to go along with it, take what we can from it, you know what I'm saying, and then discard what we can, you know what I'm saying. And there's just a powerful demonstration all the way around. And I do appreciate your due diligence. Islam and peace and love.
And Islam and peace and love to you as well, brother. I want to give honors to you for that love thought. And yeah, it's a job. I want to give honors to our brother Richard Neal Bey. Because for years, our brother, yes, sir. Islam, pardon self, grand man. Yes, sir. I was trying to keep that background noise out. But yeah, I want to give honors to our brother Richard Neal Bey. And honors to you for your measure. But I give honors to the brother, for being one, and we went back and forth on these measures. Not so much us, but dealing with different mores. And the brother has actually been on the front line, a brother that been demonstrating, in the temple and so forth and so on. But many times he brought me on his platform to teach his particular people about government. And one thing I can say about the brother, is he would always say, when them ones would get disrespectful, this is a guest that I brought here. And y'all gonna honor and respect, the guests when they come on. Ain't nobody gonna be disrespectful. He knew, where our people were. I want to give honors to the brother for being an honest Muslim in that particular measure. And so our disagreements that we may have had were very minor compared to other Moors. And the brother has always been there on the front line, though, to support, the prophet. And I always gave honors to the good brother. So I want to give honors to the brother for showing up in our chat. Keep doing the work, Mighty Moore. You see it's a work in progress, just dealing with our people on many different levels. Let's know and getting them to accept who our prophet is. Some of them don't want to accept nothing. But this is the job that we have to do. It's what we signed up for. So Islam, any other Moor would like to come forth and exercise day 5, you can come on in here.
Islam.
Islam. That's Sister Dendra Nia Curtis Bay.
Islam, it's me.
All right, Goddess and Queen. You got the flow.
Islam, family. I am Dr. Dendra Nia Curtis Bay. But first, let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act One. I give honors to all my government officials. I give honors to you, National Assistant Grand Chief, for this Moors Perspective class tonight. Woo-wee, I tell you, you just on fire. You just on fire. I mean, I just enjoyed. Had a little bit of issues trying to get in on the panel, but it's all good because I called in on the call anyway. So, I just thoroughly enjoyed what you brought forth tonight and talking about social duties in our chapter 52, what we into, and I concur with God man who spoke before me. But what I would like to add too, when you was talking about the social duties, and what stood out to me when you talked about how husband and wife supposed to act, and basically and how our children is supposed to be and supposed to act, and how we supposed, just all the teachings that our prophet brought us, and it made me go back to our research class and realizing, when I come on the scene, and me and my husband got married, me and my husband got married, all I knew is what the Europeans had out there for us. We didn't know nothing about how to be no husband and no wife and none of that. We knew nothing about that. All we knew is what them Europeans had told us, and what we learned in the church, and you know how that was. Most of you know how that was when we was, especially in my generation when we was coming up. I mean, I don't even want to get into it how we acted and stuff. You my husband, and I got papers on you, and you got papers on me. Like we a piece of property or something, But that's all we knew, and all the jealousy. If somebody, if another man look at you, or they ready to fight, and if a woman look at you, look at your husband, and you ready to fight, all of that, no. And see, that come from the European. And like I say, we didn't have a clue. We didn't have nobody. All we had was what models we had was what we saw on that television. And my goodness, you know how that was. But now that I've come into this government and I learned what our prophets say, how our prophet teach us, he got a whole book, got whole chapters on how the wife's supposed to do, how the husband's supposed to do, how the children supposed to do, and what you just covered, social duties, how we supposed to act and treat one another, how we supposed to see the great God Allah in each other. Oh man, Dr. Shahid, I tell you, you got me so fired up over here. Woo-wee, I tell you, great class, God, man, and you continue to do what you're doing, like I always say, and I try to share, I try to live this life, I try to be the message that I bring, and I'll speak up, and I tell our people, and like Brother Bata Bay was saying, sometimes they don't want to listen. You know what, I done got used to it now, because when I was in Christianity, they didn't want to listen to me when I was talking about Jesus at that time, and they shouldn't have listened to me then, because that was the wrong message. But I was gung ho and trying to tell them about Jesus. I wasn't backing down. I wouldn't back down then. But now that I got the truth, how much more am I going to be willing to stand for my holy prophet? I stood for the lie. I'm going to stand for the truth, and I don't care. I don't care if you get mad, don't like it, whatever. I'm going to put it out there and keep it moving. Because my prophet say for me to lift him up, and he was going to do the rest. He'll do the drawing. He going to drive him in and all that. So I just try to be the message that I bring, and I try to share all these good teachings that you have out there. And gratitude, God, man, for letting me share peace and love.
And Islam and gratitude and peace and love for that drawing, God, woman. I give honors to you for that. It don't get no plain than that. We got our brother Neil Bay done come up on the panel. We gonna open it up for the Mo Islam, Mo.
Islam. Peace and love to all. Hey, Mo, I got to tell you, you're doing your thing, Muslim.
Islam, we love you.
We love you as well. You're doing your thing. Because a lot of people are making their way to understand now that some are into the temple, some are into government, some are into law. Noble Drew Ali came for all. You see what I'm saying? Keep doing what you're doing, because you see the Aboriginals or the natives, or I mean not native, Aboriginals are coming home and they saying the same thing that Prophet Noble Drew Ali said back then in the 20s. These brothers and sisters now are sharing it daily. You see what I'm saying? So eventually they got to come on over and get some laws that's going to keep them from being molested. See, after you know who you are, now you got to get some laws behind you to protect you. Islam. And that's why I say you'll be waiting and we'll be waiting. But all that arguing and stuff more, I ain't got time for those type of wars. Think about it. Before there was a Facebook, we was on MySpace, Blog Talk Radio. Ain't nobody got time for that. Now they on Clubhouse, YouTube, still arguing. Broke. Don't have a will set up. Don't have a trust set up. Can't do nothing for themselves. Can't do nothing for them people. We ain't got time for that. That's not the social duties that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was speaking about. He was speaking against that. Islam. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, Mo, and just remember, we're on top now. Islam, Allahu Akbar.
Yes, sir. Allahu Akbar, brother. And you know the chairman say, moving from one egg crate to the nothing.
There it is. There it is. You gotta know you're on top.
Clubhouse.
You gotta know you're on top, Mo.
They got one now called Discord. But you know Discord was caused in the holy city of Mecca, wasn't it?
Islam. Now look at Saudi Arabia today too. Speaking about being on top, more.
Islam.
See what happened over there? Me and my wife was just speaking about that. And they're telling you that Allah is upset with us. Islam. Find the symbol for the conscious mind. Noble Drew Ali knew something. And also, let me share with you, Noble Drew Ali knew something because he told us to make your own Mecca over here. To go over there now, you got to take that jab, Mo. Yeah, to go over there, they request everyone to take the jab. You don't take the jab, you cannot enter the holy city.
Oh man, they're gonna stop you from making Hajj if you don't want to take the shot. Check that out.
You gotta take the shot. There's no documents that you can use to come in there unless you take the shot. So they're in the bed with the enemy, Mars.
Yes, sir. That lets you know they're following the law of man over law, most definitely. That's why we got to take these lessons and straighten them out. Like
we got work to do. That's right. We got work to do. Government work, law.
That's right.
Work. Islam. Yes. Now, if you want to go worship this way or that way and pray this way and pray that way, that's between you and Allah.
That's
but
right.
We got some work to do. I'm telling you, in Saudi Arabia, they just had an ugly storm come through there, and they're saying Allah's upset with us as a nation, as a people. Saudi, Islam.
That's right. Hey, I had some tell me one time, they say, perhaps that Allah is punishing us and gonna raise y'all up over here in the West. I had some literally tell me that years ago. That's about
it's in the prophecy. It's in the hadith that they keep away from us, that the Shiites have over there. It's in their hadith. They know. Think about it. Halloween in Saudi Arabia, Christmas in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca now.
Yeah. They prophet told him he gonna follow him down into a serpent hole.
Islam. So the Moors, we got to understand, Noble Drew Ali knew some things. Moors, he was hearing directly from Allah, he said. This wasn't in no book. They going to put it in some books, but it was not in any books. He was hearing from Allah.
That's right.
Directly. Nothing spooky, Moors. Islam.
That's right. Islam. That's right. Now he dictated what he had to the printer straight from the dome.
Straight from the dome. And
Yeah.
that's where you get the Moors who would tell you start learning these lessons because one day they might take them from you.
Islam.
So now you can recite them without the book.
That's right.
Islam.
You got to become the book. Eat the book.
Eat the book. It's a small book, Mo. The prophet gave us, he didn't give us no big old book. He gave you a small, and he called it a pamphlet.
That's right.
A pamphlet. So this is just a degree for you. This is just to wake you up. That spirit man. Islam.
Islam.
Yes, sir, Mo. Keep doing what you're doing, Mo. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And look, it's our time. We're on top. Islam.
Islam, brother. We bound by that covenant. We love you, grand man. Keep up the work. Keep
Yes,
waiting.
sir. Love y'all as well. Peace and love.
Peace and love. All right. Give honors to that good brother. Islam. Any other Moors who would like to come forth and give their measure as well?
Islam.
Islam, brother Muhammad Bey.
Gratitude, grand man, grand demonstration as always. Islam, Moorish kin. I am Dr. Jawahar Hamid Muhammad Bey, Consul General of the South Carolina Consulate. First, let me rise in praise of our Father God Allah, who is the best known arranger of all things. I give the highest honors to his holy prophet, our holy prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who is the last prophet of this new era of time now. He is the seventh manifestation in divine flesh, the seventh angel, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. I give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution and bylaws. I give honors to our grand national seal, our grand national emblem, and our grand national flag. I give honors to this theocratic government in which we all live and can live. I give honors to Marcus Mosiah Garvey L., the forerunner who opened the way for our beloved prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And I give honors to absolutely everyone on this Moorish Perspective conference call this evening. And I give honors to you, grand man, as always, exercising the 5 that your Father God Allah gave you. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude for that. Islam, grand subject matter on social duties. And, just, wow. Listening to my Moorish kin and listening to the presentation, grand man, understanding is the rock upon which man builds the temple of perfected man, So when we think about understanding, it's always good to have a comprehensive understanding of words. So, just too short, when we look at this word social, right? Just a few definitions. It says relating to society or its organization, meaning this social aspect also is a part of organizing the society, bringing the people into some type of harmony, and that magical word unity, that's what it's supposed to do. Then it says the interaction of the individual or the group, ultimately for the welfare and benefit of humanity as a part of society. Then within the presentation, you have the word duties. And duties is dealing with a moral or legal obligation and responsibility. Wow. See, that's really, really something. And then it says something that is expected or required to do. And so just like in the lesson that you gave, grand man, this is a part of the nature. This is supposed to be a part of the natural order of the society that our Father God Allah, right, put us in. And that verse, right, from the Grand Quran says it so perfectly. When you first started doing the first part of your reading, I believe that's chapter 49 and verse 13, where Allah is saying, do you not see how I created you from one male and one female, and created you into tribes and nations that you may know one another, not despise one another. Verily, the best amongst you is he who is most righteous. Oh man, so the first part of the social duties, in other words, in the streetology terminology, we had a saying that says, "No man or woman is an island." In other words, as a Moorish American, as we being Moorish Americans, and those who really have been given that duty and that responsibility to be the most fulfilling part of social duties, we cannot be who we are. A true servant of the great God cannot be who he or she is without, in some way or fashion, being a servant. And we just went through that in our most holy Quran, the relationship between the master and the servant. And then it says, repine not at servitude. See? So we're talking about the interaction, the social interaction between people, right? Where we're supposed to build. We were supposed to come in harmony, or another word, like they're using today, networking with each other for the good of mankind, for the good of humanity, not for the destruction, not for the dominance and all those other negative things, but for the sake of benefit. And we know, I'll end with this, right? Because I know my Morris King brother. I couldn't help it when you first started. It automatically took me to, I hear Swift Angel #1, our National Grand Chairman, Dr. Akhenaten Pertim Haru Tutankhamun Bey. And he constantly says from time to time, everything is in our divine constitution of Moorish America. So when we start reviewing and going into our divine constitution, we find that everything in the divine constitution is exactly in accordance with what this lesson is about tonight, dealing with social duties and responsibilities, both amongst ourselves and amongst the people that we have to take these duties and these responsibilities to. And this, man, is just such a beautiful thing, because without that interaction and fulfilling of that duty and responsibility, then as a Moorish American, I'm not fulfilling Act 6. See? I'm not fulfilling Act 6. I have to be a friend even with those who seemingly are in opposition to me, because I understand that they're doing things right according to the society in which they're being taught. So our duty as Moorish Americans is to bring to them that love, that truth, that peace, that freedom, and that justice. And that's our ultimate social duty. It's, man, this is just a grand class, grand man. Peace and love. Thanks for letting me share.
In Islam, and peace and love, gratitude for the share. And we give honors to your brother Muhammad Bey for that grand drawing, most eloquently spoken. And at this time, want to call forth another of amongst our Moorish kin if they would like to give their special measure, brought forth from our Father's treasures. Got one more, room for another more, if you will. Islam, Brother Marvin Edwards Bey, what have you to say, grand man?
Gratitude. Yeah, this is Dr. Marvin Edwards Bey out of Texas Council. I'd like to give all praise to the great God of Allah, giving honor to his prophet, our prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give our honor to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give our honor to our Act 1. Give our honor to all of our officials. I give our honor to this class, our Moorish post-secondary class, as well as I give honor to you, Dr. Jerry Womiti, Mohit Subsuel, our National Assistant Grand Chief of Moorish America, and hope and instructor of this most powerful class this evening. We wanted to those that aided in bringing forth this class this evening as well as I give honor to everything that's Moorish, our Moorish flag, our Moorish seal, our Moorish number. I give honor to our divine constitution, our Holy Quran, our Book of Ali, our 101, 102, the human of the nation. All of our divine revelations I give honor. Give honor to the forerunner of our prophet, Dr. Marcus Moshe Carvajal, Lord, I give honor to the ancestors who chose to stand upon. We have to return of the ancient ones. I give honor to all those that get that message before me, and all that will get that message after me. Yes, very, very powerful class coming out of chapter 52, holy instructions from the prophet, social duties. And much has been said about law. The prophet brought us the law. I think people have to learn this law first before they think about anything outside of this Moorish American government. That's not to put down anybody. I mean, they can believe whatever they want to believe. But as a Moorish American, this is the first law that we do. And, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and all of these principles, the highest principles known to man. This is the law that the Moorish American Muslims follow. And with these laws, we can connect ourselves back to the great God. The great God decides everything else. So this is where I'm coming from. It's a very powerful ayat. When thou considerest thou wants, when thou beholdest thy imperfection, acknowledge this goodness, O Son of humanity, who honors thee with humanity, and thou thee with speech, and place thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal help and mutual obligations, protection from the injuries, thy enjoyment of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All these thou owest to the assistance of others, and could not but expand of society. And so I'm just grateful for being here in the Moorish American government, making sure that I follow the prophet in all aspects and elevate my consciousness to uphold the law, that he brought to us to save us as a nation of people. And this is what I have to say about that. Gratitude for allowing me to speak in y'all.
Gratitude for the measure, Brother Marvin Edwards, babe. We give honors to you for that thought. And as we go to our officials, I got a drawing that I wanted to share from the Book of Fire as it relates to some of this real quick. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and we're going to read this portion, and we're going to close out by going to our officials. Let me share it, and just let me know. Okay, there we go. Can you see that, Moorish family, on the panel? I just want to make sure my screen showing.
Islam, we see it very clearly, man. Gratitude.
Okay, gratitude, Islamism. Okay, well, I'm going to bring it forth then. Okay, it says materials for building a nation. It says, in building a clean and pure nation, Drew Ali commands all Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love. Act 7. Needful to say, this will require the use of tools and building materials asymmetrical to those which perpetuated the wretched Negro state. Equally important as possessing the uses of proper tools, it is the material for which one plans to construct his or her building. Temple of perfection, right? From the foundation to its fruition, it is the quality of the materials that will determine the intent, duration, and purpose of the edifice. This section of the Exhuming of a Nation highlights tools and materials used in the workshop of the Moorish American minds, where they must build up the character of a clean and pure nation. The materials are the principles and the virtues that come from Allah through our ancient fathers by his prophet Noble Drew Ali. Question 41. They will construct a people who will represent the higher self and breed justice, mercy, love, and right. The ancient Canaanite and Comedian holistic system taught the deification of man by liberating the self from its bodily fetters. Then he could attain a God state in this present life. Ali also taught this can only be accomplished by raising the mind from human knowledge to infinite wisdom. In order to become the first clean and pure nation in 10,000 years, the Moorish must free themselves from those mental chains that bind them. They must also utilize the latent materials, 12 principles within, as revealed in the Egyptian mysteries. Justice, by mastering the control of the will which unites thought and action. Fortitude, steadfastness of purpose. Temperance, recognizing self as divine consciousness. Allah conquest over human desires and passions. Vision, acknowledgement of having a mission in life. Prudence, realization of your call to the ministries, prophecy. Courage, freedom from resentment, from false accusers and persecution in Rome. Trust, confidence in the saving powers of prophets and teachers. Fidelity, the humbleness of a child's ability to learn. Readiness, knowing one's position in the affairs of men, always be ready for the master to appear. Harmony, learn resolution, reason, and law governs events. Benevolence, see Allah in all things, the goodness in all creation. Science, the initiative to be industrious, to foundate one's life to its purpose. These are the 12 freedoms from the mental fetters that binds consciousness to the body as taught in the world's first religious creed. Moorish Holy Quran, Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 48, ayat 6. Then it goes on to say the prophet's divine instructions inherited by the Moors to climb the 12-step ladder are an exact reenactment as presented by Yehoshua to serve the same purpose. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 23, ayat 7 through 13. And these are the instructions that were given, when I was speaking on teaching, the young men. Teach him obedience, and this is how you climb the rung of the 12-step ladder. And he shall bless thee. It's letting you know direct result of what this teaching will bring back in the seed that you raise up. Teach him modesty, and he shall not be ashamed. Teach him gratitude, and he shall receive benefits. Teach him charity, and he shall gain love. Teach him temperance, and he shall have health. Teach him prudence, and fortune shall attend him. Teach him justice, and he shall be honored by the world. Teach him sincerity, and his own heart shall not reproach him. Teach him diligence, and his wealth shall increase. Teach him benevolence, and his mind shall be exalted. Teach him science, and his life shall be useful. Teach him religion, and his death shall be happy. As a holy prophet in the same Egyptian lineage as every major prophet from Adam to Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali returned these ancient mysteries to his people in the West. The new nation of Moorish Americans must be prepared early with these instructions, and its mind must be seasoned with the maximums of truth, right? Or the maxims of truth, right? Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 3, ayat 3. These truths are the 12 jewels of manumission that will transform the NBC, Negro, Black, and Colored, into free Moors. With the above principles of action, plus knowledge of history, and reliance upon the one great God, the application of these tools will assure freedom at maximum efficiency. They are the basic materials needed for the Moorish Americans to take their rightful place in the family of nations. Moorish Holy Quran 48, ayat 11. Drew Ali said, if these principles are not carried out by my people and the nations of the earth, the worst is yet to come. However, in order to see the value of these celestial building materials, let's take a brief look at the 135-year construction of those Reconstruction Amendments. Let's see what their laws were originally intended to build. How long were they to endure? And what was their purpose? And then he goes into beware the bogus building materials, and we'll pick up on that in our next phase, because that's a little more lengthy, and we got to get to our officials. But just reading that alone, family, and understanding that and comprehending the work that we call to do in this new era and time, it don't get no plainer than that right there. In fact, as a matter of fact, if you ever go to our website, and we want y'all to get a copy of the Book of Fire, the Exhuming of a Nation I was just reading from, you can reach out to our Grand National Chairman, and definitely he can make that happen for you. But if you come here, there's a particular drawing on the chart here, and it gives you those same steps on that ladder, that 12-step ladder. You'll notice if you move up through those same steps, by the time you get up here, you end up in the presence of the lost tribe. You see the flag here, you see the seal and the emblem, you see us coming up out of the Prophets Lawfully Chartered Organization, and through the degrees on the incline. He said we're going to take his good moors up on the incline now through belief, faith, and fruition. So this is taking us out of a state of jurisdiction, the state that we were found in, and to become a lawful nation, so to speak, established under the supreme laws of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So we just want to say gratitude to your Moorish kin. And at this time, we're going to start calling on our officials, and honest to all the family that's checking in and the ones that have already been here. So let me call forth our beloved goddess and queen, Sister Offset Amun El, Islamism, if she's present.
Islamism, grand man. The goddess is unavailable at this time.
Islam. Praise be to Allah. Islam, we know she's about the Father's business.
That's right.
Islam. Okay, well, at this time, let us go to our national mufti, our national grand mufti, Dr. Khonshu Ma'at Herubay. Islam, you there, grand mufti?
Islam.
Islamism without the schism.
Yeah, praise Allah. That is our religion. Islamism, our loveism, and our lawism. Praise Allah. We rise, first and foremost, giving our thanksgiving, adoration, worship, and praise to our Father God Allah, the great God of the universe, the most beneficent and the most wise. We give the highest honors that we can give to his prophet, our prophet, the last prophet in these days and in these times, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, the savior of humanity. We give honors to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and we give honors to his government, our government, the Moorish American government, the government in which we live, according to Act 6. We give honors to the officials of this said government, our divine ministers, Swift Angels, Mufti, and Royal Council, our secretaries. We give honors to our citizens, the Moorish Americans. We give honors to our flag, our divine constitution and bylaws, our Holy Quran, our Grand National Seal and Grand National Emblem, our Book of Fire, the Exhuming of a Nation. We give honors to everything that is Moorish. We give a special high honor to you, National Sister Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shadu Ahmadiyya Shepsuel, for bringing forth this grand Moorish perspective this evening. We give honor to all of our Moorish kin who have spoken before us, and to our Moorish kin that will speak after us. We give honors to you, angels. We just continue to give the honors where they're due, and honoring all true and divine prophets. And we give honor to our ancestors as they have come before us, leading the way. We are them today without doubt or contradiction, because no one has the power to change man from his descent nature. Praise Allah for that, and praise Allah once again for the angel food, God man, and bringing forth this grand lesson and out of that first ayat of the chapter. And it's very, it's a very important question to contemplate. Who gave you humanity? One was endowed with humanity, but who gave you humanity? And one has to go into drawing off that, you be divine from the beginning, from the source. And this is one of the key issues to us rising as a people, and even in unity, is recognizing that we come from the same source, come from the one source. And that one source is divinity. It is spiritual, as they say, and not physical. And when we get to draw from that level, from then we can get loose, you know, of all those shackles of Negro, Black, and Colored, the shackles of what they call the Willie Lynchism, and the separation that is caused by a program division. You know, because that's what they use to break us. That's what they use to keep us in line, so that they didn't have to worry about watching us. We watch each other. You know, the division and animosity between the young and the old, the light and the dark, the male and the female, you know, the this and the that, whatever it was, and house Negro and the field Negro, you know, all beasts of burden, all slaves, but still they was keeping the masses house in order because of the program, because of the lack of unity and the lack of understanding that they were not beasts of burdens or property to anyone but divine, and came from the one creator who never created them to be enslaved, but to enjoy this great creation called life and the world and these things that's in it that Allah created for us to experience and philosophize off the grand beauty of His creations and perfected, we won't call it ecosystem, but unity of all things. How they all play what they call the circle of life. You know, from the worms to the trees and the plants, they're still being eaten by the beasts, the birds, and you know, and that cycle continues. We say this to say once again that we have to recognize, you know, who endowed us with humanity. What is humanity for? Like one said, for us to come together and experience each other, experience what we'll call differences, but really are unique gifts and talents given to us by the Creator. They are not necessarily differences. They are just the gifts, individual gifts that we've been given to share with each other. You know, it's like the story with the wooden spoons, the long wooden spoons, and the people who, you know, were starving because they was cursed, supposedly with these long wooden spoons. But when they recognized that, you know, they could feed each other with the spoons, but not themselves, then the curse lifted because they was able to then still be able to eat. But it all came in them feeding each other instead of worrying about the self and feeding the self. And so, you know, to me, it was always a grand parable of understanding that we need each other. That the problem that seems to come and just trying to look after the self can always be overcome when we look after each other. When we recognize that humanity or social duties or the reciprocal help and mutual obligations that we owe, that we confer to each other, it's because that's part of the grand design. That is currency. Everything is energy, and it has, as we know, you can call it a numerical breakdown, polarity, you know, however you want to divide up the whole in a way that you can scientifically start to see the fingerprint of God, but one still has to recognize that it's there, and the fingerprint is divine. That there is a mark on all creation that comes from Allah, and then you call that the fingerprint. That, you know, it's not a coincidence, it's not a big bang, or it could happen in that, but that bang was still orchestrated by our consciousness. And so we draw that, you know, we have to reconnect to that consciousness, understand that, so that we can build this better nation. So gratitude for bringing forth the grand class this evening. National Assistant Grand Sheik, wonderful class. Gratitude to you, Morris America, for being here with us, giving us your time, attention, and respect. We love you. Islam and peace.
And gratitude to you, Grand Mufti, for that grand drawing. We give honors to you for that measure. You know, powerful drawing, brother, indeed, you know. And it tells us even in Ayat 2 to follow, it is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. Yes, sir. We give honors to you, Grand Man, for that drawing. Let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Hatshepsut Rakat Ma'at Anpur, Tutankhamun Bey. Islam Grand National Secretary of the State.
Islam, gratitude, National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Grand Class, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Islam Moorish Ken, first of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, with angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish Ken. Giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me. Giving a special honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadua Menti El-Moheded Shepsawal, for opening our meeting according to law. Also hosting this Grand Moorish Perspectives class this evening. To our National Grand Secretary of State of Indiana, Dr. Sayanati Duhet-Haru El, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. Welcome to our family online, to our Moorish Ken. It's been a grand class, Dr. Shaheed, our subject matter being, O Son of Humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal help and mutual obligation. And as you were demonstrating in class, Dr. Shaheed, in reference to the benefits of what we receive in humanity, in society, what have you, being in a nation, what kind of demonstration will we have if we were on this earth by ourselves? And we had to do everything, whether it be transportation. You couldn't procreate, you'd have to learn how to grow, where are you getting your wisdom teachings from, etc. So when we consider what it is that we want, what it is that we need to count our blessings that we are, in humanity, being able to aid and assist one another. That's key. And when we look at the fact that our Creator is the one that brought forth a special nation, and He also smites nations as well. And there's a reason, it's a divine reason that we are in this particular nation at this time. So I looked at it from the aspect of, as you stated, being a friend to mankind, which is part of our duty as being Moorish American nationals, versus dealing with the mindset of survival of the fittest. And that's a product of Western thinking. And we can see numerous examples of people demonstrating on hateful degrees, whether it's, because you are of the Jewish religion, let me trip you, on the cement, or push somebody underneath a train or what have you. And these are degrees that are not natural to us as a people. So when we look at it from the aspect of it is part of our duty to demonstrate that love, that care, being able to aid and assist one another. That's the reason for having the speech, to be able to communicate with each other. We also learn, taking the lessons from our prophet, that when you have these seeds of truth, then you demonstrate that and keep it moving. You're not there to beat somebody over the head with because they're not moving how you think they should move. That's not what we're here for. It's also important for us to learn how to do the research, because we recognize the fact that some of these truths we did not have, in coming through this special demonstration of not only physical slavery but mental slavery. But now there's no excuse, because the truth is out here. When we look at it as far as being able to demonstrate self-mastery so that you can acknowledge what your responsibilities are. I looked at it also from the aspect of just how how we can comprehend Ghana being a particular people, or Italy having a particular people, Germany being a particular people, or Chinese particular people, then why is it so hard for us to see ourselves as being one family with one free national name as Moorish American? There's nothing wrong with that concept. This is not coming from us, but this is coming from our Creator. But there are those that don't want to acknowledge this degree. So what happens if you're not in that particular demonstration? You also see secure protection from one another. So being able to see it as a blessing from the Creator as opposed to looking at it as something to fight against. Because when you're constantly fighting, dealing with disunity, you don't like this one and that one, you're not looking at the blessings that the Creator has provided for you naturally. So in order for us to be able to take our place in the affairs of men, dealing with the rest of the nations of the earth, we have to come together as one people. And you can't do that by constantly looking at each other cockeyed, or not being able to see the God in each other. So indeed, we recognize the premise that no man lives unto himself. And we are all bound by cords. And when we're able to see the God within each other, then you annihilate all those negative problems and evils and learn the benefit of working together, because in our unity is our strength. So gratitude, Moore, for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin.
In Islamism, Grand National Secretary of the State, I like to see you prep that angel food cake. Islamism. Well, all right. Well, when we go into the ayat, it say, when thou considered thy wants, and when thou beholdest thy imperfection, acknowledge his goodness, O son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, and endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligation, protection from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts of the pleasures of life. All these thou owest to the assistance of others, and couldst not enjoy but in the bands of society. So at that being said, we know our Grand National Chairman is on the front line right now with that scimitar. Islam, you there, Grand Man?
You said swinging my what?
You already know, Grand Man. I know it's heated up, flaming.
Islamism without a schism. You praise to Allah and the Prophet Noble Dwali. Still much honor to Noble Dwali for bringing us, his Moorish American nationals, everything that we needed in order to save ourselves as a nation. Our own government, our own divine constitution. We even got our own God. More than you got to think about that. It don't take long to tell the truth. When you got your own God, then you ain't got to run around there and be giving praises to something else. To get worshiping something else, bowing down to something else. It could be fashions of clothes. It could be, different kind of cars, houses that you live in, and all kinds of things. No. That's why our first question is, who made you? Who made you? Now, if you can answer that, then you done brought an end to problems. Because there ain't no more problems. There ain't no more issues. There ain't no more falling down and making mistakes and wondering why this happened like that. And good gracious, what? Don't even know who you are. Don't know nothing. And on top of that, you got no constitutional laws, no flag, no principles, no Grand National seal or emblem. You don't even know that you are today who your forefathers were yesterday. But you don't know that. Why? Because ignorance is what they call it. Some people say it gets so slick to them that ignorance become a bliss. That ain't nothing good about that. How come
now so satisfied to become stupid. So it's an honor to bless him more just to know that you're able to answer the question, who made you? I'm trying to say it again. Who made you? Because this is what it means when you're able to deal and know that you are part of that humanity. It's an honor, blessed Lord. We love you. Islamism without the schism. Islam.
Islamism. We give honors to you for that one there. You already know what I got to say. Arm to the leg arm header. Islam, grand man. Goodness gracious. Well, I don't know if our Grand National Sheikh, our National Grand Sheikh, is on the manifest. He was on a mission earlier, but let's see. Is our National Grand Sheikh present, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael?
Here, man, everywhere, you know.
Uh-oh. Islamism. Fill us up, Sheikh. Fill us up.
Islam. It's been here. We. Let us rise to give a lot of praise. Highest honor to his love thought, Prophet Number 2 Ali, and his industrious ways. Honor to our officials and our staff, our Grand Mufti, 50 Grand Mufti, Grand Mufti Corps, Zion Ministers, Truth Ministers, Advice, Royal Council, assistant guys, and support. We give honors to you, honors to this lesson, bringing us in accord with the prophet's teachings and how the prophet desires for us to go. But I want to with a little time, I wanted to give you a drawing because the prophet is telling us about how you call it being isolated and nothing to be productive out of one's house. Well, the lesson is here. The prophet brought everything we need to get us the next mile, so to speak, and gave us that love thought break the cord of any man's hold or another people's hold on us. And for the brothers, sisters, our people, or each of us individually, I can't stand him. I can't stand her. He's this, he's that. You know, we don't have time for that. And I think that it should be a grand sin to really go back over this lesson that she just gave to us this evening, because it gives us the drawing of how we're supposed to carry ourselves as Muslims, how we're supposed to carry ourselves as Moorish Americans, and give one that oasis of the truth that we are here, and we're here to impress the law, not upon others, but upon ourselves, to bring forth that new oasis that's within our hearts and minds, demonstrate that love divine on the corner of one true level of understanding themselves and not worrying about that one they call itself. Put that one to the side, take him down the basement, and beat him up some more. Cabal with the house and bring one to the highest plane of spirit light to be one that your Father God alive. Islam, Moors, January 15, 1929. A warning from the prophet is read in every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens they must end all radical, take speech while they're working on the street. Well, peace is not destruction. Stop letting your cars to Europeans and cause confusion. Remember, your cars is for your salvation. Fail to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We offer love love truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then will take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who openly fulfill toward the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law that laid down to them by their prophets. They lose confidence in their prophets. They should turn in their card and budget, be sworn and determined affairs, and return to the state where the prophet found you. This is the holy divine movement, founded by the prophet through the will of Allah, to redeem the people from their sinful way. For all the prophets know what you violate. Yeah. And when we separate in the world, go remain in peace. With holy divine laws. These are the laws of the government. By being a more domestic part of the government, and must live the life accordingly. We give honor to that lesson there, chopping on the phone. We give a year of the children of one father provided for by his care, and the rest of one mother has given each other. The bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers. The peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that binds you to love and unity, burn out strength with our own blood. Our brothers in adversity are sisters. If our sisters in trouble, forsake us not. So shall the fortunes of our Father contribute to the support of his whole race and his care as we continue to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This leaves the official close according to Act 2 of our divine constitution, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Go in peace, boys. Long live Moorish America. Peace, love, and law.
At all costs, we love you, Sheik. And we love you, Moorish America. Islam, we see you Moors in Sunday school, but the guides and the guiders of the nation desire. Islam. Peace and love, Moors. All right now. All right, we want to give honors to all of our Moorish kin out there in social media as well for showing up. Our family from London, we got a lot of Moors showing up. Honors to all y'all. Man, Brother Neil Bay, we give honors to you, good brother, Barn Dog. All y'all, Marquise L. Man, it's honor. Y'all keep showing up. And we love you. Peace and love.
Love y'all.
It's love. Peace and love.
Good time.
All right, family. We'll see y'all at the next juncture. Honors to all of y'all. And I definitely look for more to come. Peace and love.